Hey all, welcome back to the shop. Last time, you may remember, I nearly started an electrical fire. Isn't that fun? We're all about adventures here on this channel. I have decided on a name. If you don't follow me on TikTok or on Instagram, you won't necessarily know this, but I have a name for the forge. If I decide to turn it into a business or a hobby business or something like that later on down the line, then I officially have a name and I have the domains for it. My forge name is Three Nails Ironworks. So welcome to Three Nails. Now, I'm not changing the channel name or anything like that. I'm not going that far. I might spin out another channel one day, but I'm having fun uploading this stuff to this channel. So I'm going to keep doing that. Today, we're going to do a little bit of electrical alchemy. We're going to take this AC to DC power adapter. It goes from 110 to or 250 volt, and I think 10 amp, and it will crank it down to 12 volt, 2 amp DC, which is amazing. We've got a couple of rheostats here. I'm gonna 3D print a box for this case once it's all said and done, but I wanna make sure that this will all fit together and work the way I want it to before I just invest all that time and waiting in a box to print. Next up, with those, oh, I forgot to unplug something from my shop. I must have been in a hurry last time I left. Oh, right, I was. Anyway, the last time I left this behind. I need this to come over here. Beautiful. I had a really janky proof of concept set up for this blower. Now, you haven't seen this blower yet, but it is a 2015 Subaru STI HVAC blower. It's just a blower, just a fan, output port, and an intake where I have cut off the top part of this. This was generously donated by my buddy Josh. I don't know that he really wants his other information revealed on the internet, so I'm going to leave it that way. Let's just leave it to his name is Josh, and he's fantastic. He does professional welding, and he is hoping to one day start his own forge. So if you're watching this episode, Josh, thanks for watching. And to everybody else, thank you for watching. That being said, we're going to perform just a touch of alchemy. Now, you may notice that this particular angle is a little bit different than you're used to. And that's because you're on top of a box of fire brick that came in today. So I'm really excited for that. For the first time in my life, I had problems with UPS. UPS is usually pretty good to me. And I do mean it. Like, they're usually really good. But for whatever reason, this time they marked my item delivered, and then those sons of guns didn't deliver my package. That sucks, man. Like, don't do that. But we're fitting to get into this. So I've got this board down for the circuit board. I've got this down here marked. I know that my taped end, or the end that has this flag of tape, is the ground. I know that because when I come over here, it's matched up to the non-red wire in this connector. You probably can't see it all that well. This one here is red. This one here is yellow. Yellow is going to be my ground or my negative. I'm not an electrician. I am not good at that, so far anyway. But I do know that much. I did have this blower running on my battery charger, my jump starter / battery charger. That was quite nice to have that on hand to test it. Works great. Next up, I don't know exactly what this does. Is this just a RFID, or not RFID, like a ground, or is this a resistor? I think it's wise to cut off this end first. That way, if for some reason I do need this, I've got it. If I don't need this bulb, I can cut it off later. In the comments, let me know. What is this doohickey? What is this thing that's in line with the connector? That way I'll know, and I'll be able to do that. I'll be able to run this the way that I want to. I'm always without the one thing that I need in any given moment, you know? Like, I've got all this stuff hanging out, and don't get me wrong, almost all of it's very useful for most items and most things I work on, but it's really annoying. There's always one thing that I really need that I have set off somewhere else. That it? That's it. Beautiful. We'll also do a slight unboxing of the fire brick if you're interested in seeing that. And by that I mean I'm going to do it. And if you're not interested, I guess you could look away. I don't know why you wouldn't be interested in fire brick and be watching a channel on forging and making a forge. If you're looking at making your own forge, it's really important to know how to prevent your wanted tools from melting. So now we're going to see which of these is positive, hopefully. It'd be really nice to know what's a positive line and what's the negative line. Looks like we've got a red wire in here. Hopefully the other one is black or not red. I have seen some of these cheaper electronics. This thing wasn't expensive by any stretch. Haha, we do have a red and black. Wonderful. What that means is we can take one. I ordered a pack of 2 of these rheostats. I can take one of these and use it as a sacrificial rheostat. If you don't know what a rheostat is essentially a tool that allows you to adjust the voltage that is transmitted from a source, like the wall or a battery or something like that, and output it to a target or a destination. In this case, my blower, which is just off screen here. That's useful because I don't always want this blower going full bore. Sometimes you just want it to blow just a little bit. And these rheostats were also not expensive. So I'll throw a link for those in the description below. Essentially, it's a little knob. I don't know how well you can see this. Essentially, it's this little knob hooked up to some circuitry, a resistor, and it allows us to adjust how much voltage is going to go through our system. It also has a little bit of a MOSFET, or a little MOSFET fuse, I think that is. Might be just be the resistor, whatever. Anyway, and then we've got it marked DC in, which is going to be power in, and then motor, which is going to be the output. I don't remember exactly what rating these are. I believe these are 2 volt up to 12 volt. Again, I will look later. The quality of the build is not amazing. And that is one tiny, tiny, tiny Phillips head. So I got to go grab my tiny, tiny, tiny Phillips head toolkit, and I'll be right back with you. I'm back with a toolkit. This is, I believe, the Stronger STRONGR R toolkit, based firmly on the iFixit toolkit, which I used to have, and then lost somehow, which is really irritating. Either I lost it or somebody took it. I'm more inclined to believe that I lost it, but who knows? I would rather give people in my life the benefit of the doubt. So like I was saying before I got so rudely interrupted by my own thoughts, UPS I've never had a problem with, like ever. They've always been really good to me. And so I was shocked when I got notification that my package had been delivered to my front door. And I went out, and sometimes they leave it in front of my front door. Sometimes there's another door to the front of my house, which goes directly into my shop. And I keep that one locked pretty handily. But sometimes that one's a little bit more accessible to the delivery people than my actual front door because of ice buildup, especially in the wintertime. Ice in the summertime sounds like an Alaska issue. If you live in Alaska, you know what I mean. If you've ever been to Alaska, you probably know what I mean. And if you firmly fit into neither of those categories, you have very little idea, I'm sure. I'm just kidding. You probably know quite well. Anyway, so looks like now we're ready for wiring this up. I have a lot of extra wire, so I may need to clip this. I know I'm going to clip this insulation off of here because it is in my way. I want to make sure I'm getting the right cable where it needs to be, or right braided wire. Anyway, so they delivered it to my doorstep, so I received a notification, and I didn't actually receive the item, as you probably figured out. So I looked on Amazon. Amazon didn't have any options for me because it was marked officially delivered by the carrier, or by the shipping company, UPS. I want to make sure I'm flagged. Flagged is yellow, which is good. Okay, negative goes here. Hello? Well, that was creepy. Oh, there's a power plug relaxing. Okay. It's like, man, got some ghosts. Anyway, so they said that they delivered it to my front door. They didn't, obviously. So I looked all around, couldn't find it anywhere. Had one other person that lives in my house look for it with me, and they didn't see it anywhere. So I said, okay, fine. I went downstairs and I went to my computer and I filed a claim at UPS and said, hey, where's my stuff? And you have to file a claim online because they don't let you call in, which a part of me understands. A part of me is kind of frustrated that the local branch, okay, so those can touch, I'd rather they not. My local branch does not accept phone calls from customers. You have to go through their online system. Again, to a degree, I understand. But I was just hoping that we could, like have the delivery truck driver, like pick up the phone and be like, oh, yeah, crap, sorry about that. I'll run it out to you. Like, that stinks. I'm sorry I missed you. But, no. So I filed a claim saying, hey, this stuff isn't here, because there was also something in there for my wife. Say, hey, this stuff didn't show up. They didn't dispute that whatsoever. They just kind of sent me an automated email back afterward. And that's kind of where it's sitting right about now. I don't know if they're going to try to refund me anyway. I'm going to have to figure something out on how to actually talk to a human being there if they try to refund me anyway, because I'm not looking to steal anything. I'm not trying to be dishonest. I'm just trying to get my stuff and make sure everybody's getting out of all this stuff what they expect to be getting out of all this stuff, Okay. I think we should be okay there. Now, I want to keep my electrical safe. I'm going to move my screwdriver and then cover it up so that it does not short out anything if something is to bump into it. Because again, this is not the final assembly. One second. I recently watched a video by Adam Savage of Mythbusters fame, talking about how much he hates duct tape, which was a really interesting take from somebody who has been a handyman and a maker for so long. And he brought up a couple of points that I have to say I agree with. Son of a gun. You popped right out of there, you crazy little guy. I guess it's time we put you back. Stinks. Okay. So far, my hopes for this cable working out or this setup working out. Not amazing. Not really inspiring confidence. But I never did claim to be an electrical engineer. Not that you really need to be to do this kind of thing. This is fairly easy stuff. But that should do that portion quite rightly. Anyway, if you really need most stuff done, there are better tapes out there. Duct tape actually does kind of suck the more I think about it. Now, this may get loud for you. I apologize if it does. But we're going to plug this stinker in. And see how she works. Now, oh, it looks like we do have an off position. That is quite handy. Okay. Now, hey! That's odd. It has a taper to it. That's very odd. What I mean by a taper, there's a bell curve. There's a bell curve to how much power it wants to take. It's not a bad thing, just good to know. So all the way up isn't actually as fast as this thing will spin. But you can see, let me move a couple of things around. Whoop. Actually, that's a bit better, you can see that. So, if I turn this dial this way, counterclockwise, you can see my fan turns off. But if I turn it clockwise, we're adding a little bit more voltage to it. We're really getting that puppy going. Yeah, that's really nice. You can't see really well how well that's spinning. Let's see if we can bump you up actually. So if I turn it down, this is a really gentle breeze. You can see that by how relaxed this paper towel is. So that's a very slight push. Now we can ramp her up. And now we've got decent wind. I don't have a meter at all, but that's good enough for me. That works out beautifully. And then if I want to turn it off, I just turn my knob all the way to the left and we're good to go. That's cool. I'm pretty happy with that. Now, I've never been, let's see if we can see me. I've never been an electrical engineer. Again, I've never claimed to be one. I thoroughly enjoy electronics. Let me just take care of my power cord real quick. I thoroughly enjoy electronics, and I've been a software engineer for going on 9 years. It'll be 9 years in May. I was technically I had an apprenticeship, I guess, or an internship. That's what they're called, not apprenticeships. I had an internship when I first got into it. It was a paid internship. I was very thankful for that. At a plastics company, or a plastics injection molding company, they made monitoring systems and sensors for plastics injection molding monitoring, paying attention to how a part is coming out when it's molded, whether it be something like this or the housing for this blower or whatever. They also did consulting and a bunch of classes and things like that. Really cool place. Really great place to get my feet wet in the industry. And I learned a lot on the job. It was phenomenal. That being said, I've surrounded myself with people much smarter than me throughout my career, and this is stuff that I started talking to people about. I started Googling. I started to learn terms from the people I knew back at that place, and I started playing with this kind of stuff very, very briefly. So now I've actually been able to put to use some of that industry-specific knowledge. And when I say industry-specific, I don't mean plastics injection molding, what do you call it? Plastics injection molding skills or whatever. Industry. That went about as well as I could have hoped. No, I mean the electrical world, because I, again, don't know that much about electrical engineering. I don't know if I got that point across. I don't know that much about electrical engineering. So anyway, this is a really cool thing for me because I know just about that much, just enough to be dangerous, and this is what I got out of it. I've got a functioning blower that is working off of AC power through a converter, and it's got a rheostat connected to it that has an off switch stage to it, which is super exciting to me. This is going to be our blower, not the other piece of junk that I have that is very, very gentle, although it is possible for me to rig it up so that I have a 2-blower system if I want to go into a ramp-up heat and then maybe a sustained heat if I want to. That said, I'm going to set this off to the side briefly until I can really fix it up. I'm going to 3D print a housing for this rheostat and hopefully have something really nice to show you by the end of this video. It'll be a couple of days for me probably, but it shouldn't be super long for you. So let me go put this off to the side real quick, and I'll be right back with you. So if you don't know what fire brick is specifically heat-resistant brick. It is meant to not shatter or, as I learned through some research, explode. If you take a regular old cinder block that is not fire rated, they can only handle up to something like 250 degrees or 300 degrees or something like that, which blew my mind because you'd think you could just buy brick and have like a bonfire in it. But you have to actually be careful because if your bonfire goes too hot, you can actually, it can actually explode. Look it up. Blew my mind. But these here are fire bricks. They are rated, I believe, for 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. Hopefully the editor in me in the future puts the Celsius rating or the conversion in on screen here. So these, I was very thankful to see. Like I said before, the Eastern manufacturer, believe what you will. These were made in China specifically. They packed these very nicely. This is, 1/4-inch foam. Actually, I think this is 1/2-inch foam. My measurements by eye are not amazing. But they packed these 4 bricks in that 1/2-inch foam all around. And so these bricks, which are normally fairly fragile, because they're fairly lightweight and they're very porous, they didn't get damaged despite some of the other boxes in that shipment getting damaged. I was really worried about that. The shipper also, Amazon, decided to ship these in this box, this bigger box, alongside my rheostats and my paint pens, which I'm going to use for metal marking. And my transfer punches. Now, I bought transfer punches instead of making them because they're going to come in handy sooner rather than later. And I want some good quality ones because I don't want to go out and buy tool steel at the moment. So anyway, I have these 4 fire bricks, and they will last me quite a while. Now, these things aren't cheap, but they are absolutely a necessity. When I say these aren't cheap, I mean that for a set of 4 of them, it cost me about $45. Now you're probably thinking, well, Steven, 45 bucks isn't that bad for bricks, for 4 bricks, when you consider that you got 4 of them. Like, that works out to what, like 10 bucks a brick? Yeah, but that's $10 per brick. When you go to like the Orange Warehouse or what have you, a $4 brick better be dang fancy. And to be fair, these bricks are pretty dang fancy. They're rated for, like I said, 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm gonna go set them gently in my forge just to see where the levels are at. Now, it's not gonna stay this way. But I have this grate over top. I have these bricks in here. This grate, I can set off to the side. I'm not sure if I'm gonna use it at all, but I like having it on hand just in case. These I wanna have a little bit of space between, right here, because I plan to have my blower pushing air up through there. There's a canister down below that has these air adjustments that I've conveniently cemented into place because I'm a moron. This right here. But I believe the other side, that's a good sound. The other side has a couple of open airways. I'm going to take this tubing that I've got here, and I'm going to hook it up in such a way that it allows me to, I'm probably going to cut this, honestly. I'll probably have to, but I'm going to use this to blow air into the bottom of this. So I have to figure out a way to get this hooked up. It is likely, very likely, going to involve a chunk of this 6x6 by 8 foot piece of lumber. I thought about a couple of other options as well. And this is just some bonus content for this particular video, so yay for you. I thought about taking some pieces of this OSB, or this plywood that I've got. I've got a much bigger chunk in the other room that I can make a little bit more square pieces out of. But I want to take this and I want to map out on it. This is my alternative plan. A place to, or a way to mount the blower, the actual output of the blower. That will then adapt to this other end, this flush mount flange, whatever you call this. I think it's technically a floor mount for like a shower or a drain. Anyway, so I want to be able to put that in and have almost like a condenser or a Venturi channel that will condense the air into a jet into this. So that's going to take the power of my blower. It's going to amplify it because there's a lot of air moving into a much smaller area. That will allow me to get more power from my blower, more power capacity from my blower, rather than having to pump the voltage and potentially burn out the motor early. So I also have to be careful with brownouts on that motor, which is why it'd be nice if I can make a faceplate for this that will allow me to hook up my smaller blower for long-term blowing at a lower rate. But anyway, this tube should work out fairly nicely. So the first thing that I have to contend with on this is the face of this is not flat. It's got a, I don't know how well you can see that. It's got an L shape to it. And there's a nubbin right here that needs to go. So like the other things that I've dealt with on this, I'm just gonna try to cut that off. And I've got a pair of snips here that may just do the trick. If they don't, I've actually got some shears, and it looks like I'm going to ruin my hand trying to do what I was gonna do. I can't find my metal shears that I was using. which is typical. In addition to that, I remembered something that I didn't do. Because I'm a fool. I didn't follow tradition, y'all. And I'm very deeply apologetic for that. I have not yet mentioned in this video how cold it is here. Or have I? I think I was talking about Minnesota before. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to break this off. I found some pliers. That was easy. Oh, I have a harder target now. I covered the hole. Gotta empty that trash up soon. And my moronic rear end did not put a trash bag in there. Because why would I do something that makes sense? That's just silly. All right. So I've got this foam here, which is pretty handy. I wonder if I could just shove the corner of my board. I should probably show you what I'm doing. How's this? Can you see me okay? Probably not, but we'll do this. That way you can kind of see some of it. It's not the best setup, but I'm in a shop. What do you expect? I want to take this corner of my board, see how it matches up to this. And yeah, actually fits perfectly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down my piece of wood here. Put my blower in position, just like that. Then look around for my handy dandy pencil. There she blows. We're gonna do just something like this to roughly mark it out. So if I came out like that, something like that, that gives me plenty of space. The other thing I don't have is mounting holes. So I may have to drill a mounting hole or two here, which is beautiful, except it isn't. Also, I can probably break this piece off here. To all the engineers who designed the 2015 Subaru STI blower housing, I truly apologize. You put a lot of work into this. And I have just momentarily ruined it. But now I don't have to worry about that piece. Missed again. Fantastic. But that really doesn't give me a good place to anchor this. So the alternative is I could epoxy it, but I really don't like epoxying things that I want to be modular. So how in the doodad do I do that? Put our blower right up against that. This is going to take some thinking. You really can't see what I'm doing, so I apologize. Trying to figure out how to attach this and still get the airflow that I want. Also, ideally, this would lay flat on a table or a surface like this. That would be like best case scenario. Is that going to happen? Doubtful. But maybe. What I'm thinking is I may be able to make I may be able to make a stand for it where this profile matches up a little bit. Sharp corners, but where it would sit flat like this. And then whatever box that I've got for my output can go into place like here or something like that. And it technically could just be this triangle if I clean up the triangle. I could cut a little bit of a relief. I'm silly. But I'm thinking about this in 2 dimensions, and I've got a 3-dimensional object. What I do is I take my 2 pieces of plywood here, and I match up my blower. You really can't see what I'm doing with the blower here because it's hidden behind some plywood. So the idea is I take this piece, and this is my main mounting piece, right? Out of this, I cut a negative to flush these 2 surfaces. See what I'm saying? So this would become a flat surface. By doing that, I can then have a, or I cut a slot out of this, slide this over, and then screw the pieces together. Why am I dumb sometimes? That's the way to do it. The way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna take these 2 pieces. I'm gonna cut a slot out of one of them, right? I'm gonna cut a slot out of one of them, essentially, that fits behind the blower. And then this one fits in front of the blower, and then I sandwich the face of the blower between them. Then, from there, I can cut out the piece that I need for the actual mount. I can make a box for that. And then, from there, I can screw this to that box with the appropriate sized hole in it. That way, if I want to add a vent to it, or a controllable vent, I can do that. So I think that's the way we're going to do this. But you know what? That's going to have to be the next video, because this one's already too long. Thank you for sticking around for my experiments in electrical, very, very brief stuff. Thank you for working with me on the design of this. Now, this may be the dumbest way to do it, but in my mind, dumb redneck engineering, I guess I shouldn't call it dumb. Redneck engineering has a way to be really improper and really informal, but you know what else? Stuff works. It just does. That's pretty cool. Anyway, we'll see you in the next one. Remember, if you like this content, throw me a like. If you really want to see something in this series specifically, or have me expound and explain more in these kinds of videos, throw it in the comments. I really am looking for feedback. And if you really enjoy the content and this is your first time here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, because that subscribe button tells me immediately that you do enjoy this content. You want to see more of it, and you get a little kickback out of it because you get to see when these videos go live most of the time, at least if YouTube has anything decent to say about it. So, thank you again, and until next time, have a good one.